Hello, I'm Makoto. Good morning, guys. And because I was busy updating another 20 slides, I wasn't really paying attention, but just want to quickly ask, how many of you guys have coded in Solidity before? Okay, so most people are pretty new. Okay, and if who are kind of based in here, or like who is local? Okay, so everybody else came all the way for here. That's great, because whenever I tell my friend, like, hey, I'm already in Prague, and then people say, why the hell? It's like next week. But like, we know we are all here, for this special event. So thank you very much for Winding Tree for organizing this awesome event. Okay, so yes, so I'm going to talk about ENS in 30 minutes. And because if you're new to the code, don't pay too much attention to the code itself, because you can use that as a reference point later on. I can share the code. And it's more about understanding the gist of what ENS, how you can use it. So like if you have any question, you can ask later on. And I only have 30 minutes anyway. So, and yeah, I'm Makoto, and there's this guy called Jeff. I'm actually also giving a talk in the Dev. Actually, how many people are actually going to DevCon? 4. Okay, so other people didn't get a ticket. Okay, that's not amazing, but commiseration. But I'm going to give a talk with Jeff during DevCon. But even if you couldn't get a ticket, special treat, you got the gist of the talk today. So you didn't miss anything. Yeah, this was the highlight of the DevCon 4. So you already got it. Okay, but Jeff is not coming to next week, so I'll be doing it alone. And also, both Jeff and I know for another kind of startup, we spend 50% of my time called Kickback. It used to be called Block Party. This is kind of very simple event management tool. Like most people, here amazing. Like I saw it only 50% turns up, but looks like it's almost full. So you didn't need it. I tried to ask them to use it, but they said they don't need it, and they're right, and I'm fine. But so there's events, most free meetup. People just sign up just for bookmarking purpose, and they don't turn up. So in my system, I ask people to commit small ETH, and if you don't come, you lose. If you come, we'll share. And so there's some events happening in the Kickback event. If you are staying during the DevCon 4, there's a couple events there, so please sign up. And I mentioned it not just to show it, but because I'm going to use it as a couple of examples. So I wanted to send a bit of context. And I came here about 3 months ago, and we actually use the system, and 20 people signed up, and actually 12 people signed up, and actually 20 people turned up. I don't know if it's successful or not, so it's like Kickback is not like defensive against like party crashes, but if you have more people than you expected, that's kind of good thing as an event organizers, I think. Yeah. And so agenda today. So how many people knows what ENS stands for? Okay, did I put what ENS stands for in the first page? No? Yeah, so how much, that's just testing how much people pay attention, yeah? So like 80% of people don't pay attention, but that's fine. Okay, it's still money. But I'll quickly explain what ENS is. Yeah, what is it? Actually, what does it stand for? I don't know, what?
Ethereum Name Service.
Exactly. Thank you. And ENS, so first I explain what ENS is. And second, this is for the coding session, so I'm going to show some code to understand. But again, this is a reference point, so you don't worry too much if you don't understand when I talk through. And third bit is one of the, so there's 3 things you can do with ENS, and the third bit is most, I think, interesting, but underutilized. So that's where I spend the extra 20 slides. So hopefully I can get there on time. Okay, so what is ENS? So do you know what? Hello, my name is Bra, and he said Xerox FTB, blah, blah, blah. Do you know whose address it is?
Ethereum Foundation.
No. I don't think so, no. No? Okay. So, Satoshi. Omise. Yeah, I get this kind of Japanese link just because I'm Japanese, but Satoshi is female, not Japanese, by the way. So this one, how about this one? Anyone? Does anyone know what this nickname is? No one. Shit, I'm talking to in front of the wrong audience. Okay. Do you know this avatar? Have you ever seen? Yes, Nick. Who said yes? Nice. I'm gonna give you a card, sticker. Yeah, so there's a guy called Nick Johnson. He's kind of one of the most active guy in Ethereum space. I think he is also known for the editor of the one of the editor of EIP. He's very active in the space, and basically that was his address. And it's a bit lame that no one got this, but the whole point is this one. 100% of people won't get it, but this one, probably 1% of people at least can recognize, hopefully, that at least you can read it out, because if I try to read this out, it takes like 1 minute, and no one can remember, whereas this one, hopefully you can remember. So that's what the gist of what ENS does. Like same like I often ask, okay, oh, do you know what DNS is? And people are like, huh? And when I say, you know, like a yahoo.com and google.com, oh, domain, get that. So we provide the same thing as just like mapping the same address to names you can at least read and name it. And that's a basic function, but you can actually do a bit more stuff. Like, I think we should be able to put like Swarm and BFS records, which I've never tried, but maybe that could be my hack agenda this weekend, I think. And also you can map with some legacy DNS system. So this is still experimental. And next is also, so .eth is kind of the naming top level domains assigned to this ENS, but it's not just .eth. The .eth address you can kind of have to auction using smart contract, but we are currently integrating with kind of legacy DNS system that like if you can prove that you own this DNS system by creating kind of underscore ENS subdomain and put the Ethereum address, we have a way to trustlessly, anyone can verify that that's true by looking into there's some chain of trust information in the DNS record, and then we can put that the proof into smart contract so that anyone can verify. By doing that, we can actually say, rather than saying, for example, I don't know why Winding City has an ETH address. Winding Tree has ETH address. Yeah. You can send to that, or you can say send ETH to windingtree.com or something. So that's also possible. And yeah, what can you do with your ENS is first, like, so this is one example of, like I explained earlier, that you can, instead of putting in your Ethereum address into, this is a case of ICO, often like one of the common scamming hacking thing is like you hack into the website, and if you replace the Ethereum address, no one realizes it's changed. But if you preserve, like take the ENS address, first you have to, and also like you can pre-announce the Ethereum name ahead of the ICO and all the stuff, and you can set the ENS Ethereum address and all the stuff. So if you, I don't know, people still do the ICO, but like if you guys are interested in that area, you can use it. Or so this is the second use case of this, how kickback used to look like. It's called block party. And then when you register, some people just see, for example, second person hidden tile, or the Twitter name, it says 0xDCC. But you can also reverse lookup, given this Ethereum address, what is the ENS name? So by seeing that, like each step, when you knows like that I can look up the identity, and so it's called reverse lookup. And one thing we did is like I organized a ENS hackathon. I think a couple of guys attended, and so when you register with the, I have everybody's same address, but if someone set the reverse record, I can see it. So we actually custom printed all the ENS names, which people, so basically we did personal t-shirts, which I also have right now. Yeah, so that kind of things you can do as well. And also, one of the topic I try to spend more time is subdomain. That, for example, left one is a Gitcoin. Who knows Gitcoin? Okay, so Gitcoin is a kind of bounty system. Like if you have GitHub, I think you guys use for this hackathon. Like if you have issues, you can put the bounty on the GitHub issues. They did an ENS integration that basically it links with your GitHub address. So like I have a Makoto account in the GitHub, so you can have makoto.gitcoin.eth. Aragon, does anyone know Aragon? 3 people, okay.
I know. No, it's like 7.
7, okay. Yeah, doesn't really help, but like, yeah, thank you. Okay. So Aragon is a decentralized organization. Like you can create like your own organization on chain, and when you sign up, first thing you ask is, do you have organization name as a Ethereum address? And also, Zinc is a relatively new platform for, I think they're trying to say LinkedIn for blockchain. And when they create a profile, they also you create the ENS names. So they're the kind of use case. I often pitch this as a kind of Hotmail moment, like Hotmail, Gmail. Like when you send email to someone, you kind of advertise in Hotmail and Gmail. If you have the subdomain and the people start using that, like, hey, here's my ENS domain, it automatically advertising your ENS name. So for if you're the dApp developer, adding subdomain support is a kind of nice touch, I think. But I have some story to tell you if I have time. And and another more kind of usage 999, which is very unique case, is we did a ENS hackathon back in August, and there's a couple guys who did, basically they tokenized subdomain, ENS name, because the guy who won, he had something called clover.eth, and he actually wrote a very interesting post about how he tried to squat on the ENS and all the stuff. But basically, even though he wanted to get a clover.eth, he's got taken by some squatter. The problem is he can't really even ask to buy from that guy. So he led to the idea of tokenizing the domain, so anyone can basically sell in any like NFT, and it's an NFT, so you can sell in any like evolving NFT market. Non-fungible token, so it's like a token, but it's like any token, but it's like a non-fungible, so you can have a unique identifier, so it's unique, unlike coin, like sell things. And and I think he's trying to squat for any popular like names, and he every time he squat, and he just said, hey, you can buy from me, that kind of stuff. Interesting. And so ENS contract and API overview. How many minutes I have?
You have about 10.
10 minutes. And what's the slide number? I don't know. Maybe another 40 slides to go. So I really skip. And one thing is ENS is one of the biggest use case of working smart contract on live for almost a year. It was first deployed in May 4th, 2017. May the 4th is how you remember. And so it's being deployed, and it's just basically a huge key value mapping dictionary. But what's different is if you just have the key value mapping registry, it's kind of, and another thing, probably you learned in the previous session is a kind of smart contract how to upgrade. But by having something called resolver, it separates the logic to resolve. So like if it's a secure value, but instead of key is the name, for example, matoken.eth, rather than mapping to the value direct of my Ethereum address directly, it maps to the resolver contract, which you can change how you resolve. So if you want to upgrade how you resolve and all the stuff, you basically switch the resolver contract to a new one. So this is kind of one of the artist's way of like thinking about upgradability in mind. So you set the resolver, and the so that when you use it for code, you first ask to like to to the registry, hey, what's the resolver address of foo is? Once you get the resolver, you ask resolver, what's the address of foo.is, and he gets the address back. But that's a basic.
Can I be a resolver?
Huh?
Can I be a resolver?
As a human being?
No, of course not.
No, but like you can create your own resolver and you can set the resolver points to it. So like if you want to have a smart contract which is custom to how you resolve,
Okay.
you can do that too.
So basically anyone can join.
So like if you own the certain name, for example, matoku.is or windingtree.is, you can set the resolver address as an owner. So each domain has a unique ways to resolve the address. And most of people use default resolver, which is another just key and value store. But like you can do whatever you can reverse it or you can skip somewhere, like whatever you want to do. And so this is a resolve example. The dumbest example is like this resolve can only take one. Like whatever you pass, I always return my address. So this is echo as a resolver, but it has no meaning. But like this kind of shows that like there's a one interface function called ADDR, and if you put the node name, it resolves whatever stuff. In this case, it's just me is a message sender. So this is a bit old code. It used to be the constructor, used to be the same name as the contract name, which resulted in some like hacking case, like when you rename the smart contract name, forgot to rename the constructor so anyone can call it, and some ether loss, that kind of stuff. But in this case, like when you the owner of the resolver becomes always address, which is impractical, but this is the simplest case of resolver. And does anyone know truffle? Who knows truffle? Okay, so truffle is one of the earliest and the most used Ethereum development framework, and ENS is actually one of the just a truffle contract. So like if you go to ENS names /ENS on the GitHub, and if you get the contract, you can use it as if it has all the interface which you would use as a truffle wrapper contract. But we do have some wrapper JavaScript library which you can basically instantiate by passing the Web3 object. And you can basically, this is the basic way of like, hey, ENS, what's a resolver for I don't know how to pronounce this name, but Anachinid? Huh? What?
Arachnid.
Arachnid. Arachnid. Yes. Yeah, that was the avatar, isn't it? Arachnid.eth. Then you get address. That's the simplest way to call. And if you, if you want to do the reverse, like you pass the Ethereum names, and you ask for the identity. And how many minutes left? 5 minutes or something?
Don't worry about it, just go.
Okay. You guys okay? Having fun? It's all right? Yeah? Okay. Good. You want to skip or? So if you want to set the registrar, again, this is just function, just to use it as a reference point, just skip through. No, kidding. So you can set that name on reverse record, or also interesting in this use case, I've actually never used it, but often in this like Web3 or truffle things, one of the probably things you might have learned is that you have to pass. Who knows ABI? Okay, so you didn't explain what ABI is? ABI?
No, I didn't speak anything.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was about to say you guys didn't pay attention, but like, it's his fault. Yeah. So ABI is basically the contract interface that if you just have address, you don't know what function exists. So you kind of pass a JSON object over like defining all the input and output type. Usually when you interact with smart contract, you have to pass the ABI and the address, but you can't put the ABI into ENS so that like if you say resolver, what is an instance? It has the, you can without passing the ABI, because if you register the ABI in this one, you can start interacting, which is quite convenient because I don't know how many people use smart contract in something like MyCrypto, MyEtherWallet.
Yeah.
1 and 2, okay.
You will use it, so you will see.
Yeah, so that's gonna be your friend this time. But one of the stuff is just adding the contract is not enough. You basically go somewhere like GitHub and just copy and paste the humongous ABI stuff and copy and paste in the MyCrypto. will be doing like 100 times. And often the thing is like when you create a dApp, you create a UI for like basic things, user facing. But anything admin does, you can't be bothered creating the UI. So often you end up using MyCrypto. And whatever you have to do admin stuff, you have quite a power. So like every time you do that, like, am I okay to call this admin function? You are under pressure. And the last one thing you want to do is actually like go to GitHub and copy and paste the huge like API and copy and paste into MyCrypto. So if you can use something like this, it would help. And so issue submitting a new user for your dApp. And so Zinc I use as an example because last time I gave a talk at the S building. There's a guy from Zinc who did all the hard work of explaining. Now he's not here, so I had to do the work. But like I'll explain the flow how it works is like in there they have very nice like a sign up flow. When you first go to the page, it checks whether you either create an account or sign in, and as part of the sign in, like the other example like Gitcoin or Aragon, it asks like, do you have the ENS name or do you want one? And you put other stuff, and if when you create an account, you ask people to sign signature. Does anyone know the difference of signing signature to compared to like sending transaction? One.
So you send the transaction by signing it anyway.
True, but like in this case,
This is just to prove that you are actually have access to that address. Or
yeah. So one of the big differences you don't have to pay for ETH as a gas price because when you do signing, this is an emerging pattern happening. Like if you go to somewhere like CryptKitty or like we just implemented in a kickback system that like you just want to sign transaction and a digital signature, and using digital signature as a sign mechanism that so you don't have to ask people to create password on your system. So this is kind of nice way. So this is what Zinc does, and after it's done, like basically you get the ENS name, so subdomain names. So that's kind of the pattern, and he gave it to me this code, which I don't really understand. So I just I do understand, but it's complex. So I try to do basic. This is probably fundamental, and which encompasses all the things you learned because you read through every line of the code which I showed, right? So this is easy peasy. So let's go through. So when you try to, so you have my awesome app. I don't know why I capitalized on S, but never mind. So let's say if you have your super duper dApp smart contract you're creating over the weekend, and if you want to have a sign registration function as part of function, you define whatever called register. Name can be anything. And then you pass a label, which is a hash of the name. One thing I didn't mention is that all the ENS name is a far hash rather than plain text. The reason is twofold. That like if it's text, you need to have certain limit in the size, whereas if it's a hash, it's converts to the fixed length. So like you can basically do ridiculous lengths of the ENS name. Should be fine, and also it's part of a bit of privacy part. Like not many people prefer to expose the entire ENS namespace. So like you hash it, even though it's kind of pseudo privacy. That it's because it's a hash. If you do dictionary attack, you can guess it. And in fact, if you have the domain name, and if you want, for example, windingtree.com, and if you want to have windingtree.eth or something,
Which we have.
yeah, you do have. But at the same time, we also have a bot which kind of have the whole list of domains, and then we just dictionary attack against whatever the new auction name, and then we tweet. The reason behind it is because if you have a skill to do it, you can kind of try to get ahead of it and snipe it. Then if it's technically possible, we should be making it available to everyone. So that's one thing. And how many minutes left?
We're pretty much.
Okay, so I'll skip. Yeah, just the three consideration. This is the interesting bit. So first thing is, so I say like this one, you don't have to pay the gas. But to set subdomain, you're actually interacting with smart contract, so you have to pay the gas. So what I was thinking, if you really want to do this, you kind of have to do some sort of, I think it's called meta transaction or something, that you just sign a transaction and pass it to the dApp or the application itself, so they kind of pay for the gas or something. You have to think about that. That's the first implication. Otherwise, you lose a nice aspect of like having the passwordless sign in without paying the gas. And second bit is, so Kickback, when I first made it, I had a bunch of things, and I used to call this like a shit. So I thought, like, I have to hide it. So I just created a username instead of using ENS name. The whole reason is, again, I didn't really want to force people to pay for gas. So the workaround will be you do some more complex stuff and pay for the gas or make it optional, like Gitcoin. Gitcoin doesn't enforce you to have subdomain, but it has a separate endpoint, so like you can do it only if you want to. That's another thing. And do nothing is don't follow these stupid guys. And last thing is kind of could be obvious, but like I put a contract address just to prove that this is a transparent open to database stuff. And some ETH news tweeted that like if you send a ETH to this contract, you can get in. Did you tell you about the default function?
No, we didn't talk about the.
Okay, payable keyword?
Yeah, we payable, yes.
Good. So ETH news wrongly said if you put 0.02 ETH to address, you can go to the party. But do you know what happens? So basic is every function, if you send a transaction by default, it calls to the default function. And if you don't have a keyword called payable, it just rejects. So all it does is just reject. So like you do even want to see, so in this case, I was showing the same address, but even if I substitute with ENS address, still might be a good bad practice because people who only do investment, all the stuff, all they do is send transaction. They don't aware of the implication of using the dApp. We are still that early stage, so maybe it's partly fault of our UX that to make it very explicit. But when you design things, you have to bear in mind like it's only 5-10 people who knows how to use dApp in general. So you have to put that in design. And so that's it. And these are the 3 URL you should be looking, and I'll post a link later. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Makoto.